So here's your guide on how to get the best players in your youth intake in Football Manager. Every year your club will get a set of young players coming through the invisible youth system and into your Football Manager game. We call these new gens or regens. Now there are quite a few actions you can take in your Football Manager save to maximize the probability that your new gens are going to be really, really good. And in doing the research for this video, I found a few tips which I didn't know. And at the end, I'm also going to share a cheeky tip that nobody is telling you on YouTube. Okay, so this is what the youth intake screen is going to look like in your Football Manager save. It comes around once a year and details the invisible youngsters that have just been promoted from your academy. Now let's quickly go through the steps that you can action in your save to maximize the probability of these players being really, really good. Firstly, you want to head to your finances screen and start making some board requests. There are 3 requests here you can make from your board which significantly impact your chances of getting good new gens. Number 1 is youth recruitment. I've heard some describe this as the invisible part of Football Manager, and I really like that analogy, right? Imagine everything under the age of 15 being an invisible Football Manager that you just don't see, right? There are no players in the game under 15, but in the real world, kids go to school to play football at 4 years old. Like they'll go off to an academy and stuff like that. Youth recruitment describes this whole process essentially, right? And so maximizing this, of course, maximizes your chance of getting good new gens. Number 2 is junior coaching. Similarly, this talks about the invisible part of Football Manager under the age of 15, but instead of the recruitment side is obviously the training side, right? The more you can invest into this side of the invisible game, the better chance your young kids have of making it when they hit that 15-year-old mark. And thirdly, youth facilities. Now you might think that youth facilities relate to your under 18s, and that was something I thought myself, but apparently not. Apparently SI have confirmed that youth facilities in this context refers again to the invisible part of Football Manager. So maximizing your youth facilities is so important. If you want to keep track of how good your youth recruitment, junior coaching and youth facilities are, head on over to the club info screen where you can see how good junior coaching, your youth facilities and your youth recruitment are. You'll see things like excellent youth recruitment or state-of-the-art training facilities. But of course, not all clubs will be able to get to the state-of-the-art level. This is essentially why you see better clubs with more money producing better players, right? It makes sense. The next actionable thing you can do in your Football Manager save to maximize the chance of you getting really good new gens is focusing on your head of youth development, a staff member. When it comes to your head of youth development, you need to be looking for a few things. Number 1, decent attributes when it comes to working with youngsters, judging playability and judging player potential. Number 2, you want to be looking for a very positive personality. This will rub off on your players. Some of the best personalities being model citizen, model professional, resolute and perfectionist. Another actionable step you can take in Football Manager to increase your likelihood of getting good new gens is affiliate clubs. So if you head to club info and then go to affiliates and then ask your board to look for an affiliate club, you should actually see an option there asking your board or owner to launch a search for a new affiliate in order to secure first options on players from a club with good youth recruitment. That is to say, once completed, your club will be linked with Club X in Japan, which could then see promising young Japanese players, for example, popping up every year in your youth recruitment. This was not something I knew about until today, so this is a juicy little gem, to be fair, and one definitely worth checking out. So we've gone through some of the actionable steps, but there are a lot of things that are left up to the Football Manager gods, or as I like to call them, the in-game editor. Now we spoke earlier about big clubs bringing through the best players, right? And that's reflected in Football Manager in a lot of ways. One of those ways is a metric called reputation. Now reputation is kind of a hidden attribute in Football Manager, and you can see I've got my in-game editor open here. We can see that my Watford team from the Watford Wonderkids save, that's on Twitch sometimes, twitch.tv/FMWKDS. We can see that our reputation is 6,045. Now this reflects the team's reputation on a global scale, where the lowest end represents the worst team anywhere ever, and the highest end represents the best. Minimum value is 1, maximum value is 10,000. Clubs with a reputation closer to 10,000 will have a better chance of producing better youngsters than clubs with a reputation closer to 1. Similarly, nations have invisible metrics too, such as youth rating. Similar to potential ability that judges a player's potential ability, youth rating judges a nation's youth rating on the same scale, a value of 0 to 200. England coming out with a youth rating of 135 here. Now, nations with a youth rating closer to 200 will consistently produce youngsters better, or with a better potential and with a better current ability, than nations with a youth rating closer to 1. Okay, so before I share with you the cheeky little trick that I told you I was going to share, it's worth pointing out that even after you've implemented all these actionable steps, and even if you've gone into the editor and changed your youth rating and reputation, the youth intake that happens once a year is always somewhat random, right? So you do need or rely on a little bit of luck every single time. The steps and things that we've spoken about in this video will give you a helping hand and will give you the best chance possible to succeed on that all-important youth intake, but it's worth bearing in mind that it's not an exact science, and it, at the end of the day, is the flip of a coin. You're just trying to weight that coin in your favor a little bit. Okay, so the cheeky little step, which I said nobody was talking about on YouTube, is actually using what I call tactical saves, right? Now hear me out. In Football Manager games gone by, there used to be a specific date for youth recruitment, right? So say the 27th of April every single year, you knew the youth recruitment was going to happen. So what players like myself would sometimes do is make sure we save our game on April the 26th every single year and just reload the game until we get like a decent youth player, knowing that it's like so random and saying to yourself in your mind, this isn't cheating, this isn't cheating, this isn't cheating. But the reality is it's obviously cheating. But you can't specifically nail down the date, right? In this version of Football Manager, as we spoke about at the start of the video, the youth announcement comes sometime in March or April, right? So what you have to do, if you want to implement that strategy, and if you think it's cheating, obviously just don't do it. But if you wanted to do it, I would suggest saving on a more frequent basis during the months of March and April in order to pinpoint the youth recruitment day and use the reload strategy. Just saying. Don't hate me.